Hiya, folks. Jerry here at The View on an incredibly frustrating and disappointing afternoon for Leeds. Hope you've had a good weekend so far. Happy Easter and all that, I suppose. All kind of fails in context, doesn't it, to what was an absolutely abysmal second half performance by Leeds. How I'm going to do this is I'm going to try and be look, you know the deal here at this stage. I'm going to try and be balanced and as balanced as I can. I don't overreact when we win games and I don't overreact when we lose games. The scoreline is, yeah, I think embarrassing is the word a lot of people have said, but to be very, very clear, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to. It's too easy. It is way too easy to find an uber negative and just jump 2 feet into it and overreact and shout and scream and ball. I'm not doing it. So what I'd like to do is try and break this game down, and I'll do it this way. I think I described the Arsenal game as a game of individual errors. I think I described the Nottingham Forest game as a win of individual moments. And the way I would describe today is key players and big players gave up and went missing. And unfortunately, some of the old hats are now in that bracket again. Defensively, I didn't think we were very good. People disagreed with me on Twitter. I thought Robin Koch had an absolutely awful first half in terms of marking his players. Palace had 3 corners, 2 headers that they should have scored from. Both Robin Koch's man getting free and scoring. The goal that they get before halftime was a silly free kick from Mark Roca. Fairport giving a silly one away just before that as well on the edge of the box with a minute of injury time to play. Just be calm, see out the half. And then as the ball comes in, Robin Koch chases the player back in. Instead of going and attacking the ball, he doesn't go to the player, doesn't put any pressure on the player, and he gets a little nudge in it. And then Meslier is stretching to come out on it. You know, you can argue when Meslier should have come out like this or should have come out to punch the ball. But by that stage, for me, the damage was done. I thought Koch was poor. And some people told me that he had a great first half. I don't know what people are watching sometimes. I'm okay people disagreeing with me on stuff, but I just didn't see it. I mean, the fact that they nearly scored 3 goals from the same player, man, that he was marking every single time is a problem. The one big thing that stands out to me over the whole game is the absence of Max Vober is getting bigger and bigger. We are starting to see the same defensive performances from the same defenders again and again. We got away with it a bit at Arsenal, playing a 6-man defense at times. Against Forest, we look like we can see to a long ball every single time. And today, we looked like every time Palace went forward, and even the first half, we didn't look great. And well, I say defensively, we didn't look great. Attacking in the first half, I thought we looked fantastic. I thought we started the game brilliantly. I thought we did exactly what we should do. We went at Palace. We hid our weaknesses, which are our defense, by attacking more, putting pressure on them. Our midfield was compact when we lost the ball and we were able to step in and win it. And then we scored. And again, we've seen this before under Jesse Marsh. We've seen this before under Bielsa. We score a goal, we just drop. And you're screaming at them to just keep doing what you're doing. It's working. Keep pressing. And we just didn't do it. I'm going to fly through some comments, folks. If we kept them clean enough. Free falling. We looked so good in the first half. The second half, we looked like a conference team. It was a total disaster. We panicked. Physically and mental fatigue due to 3 big games in 8 days. Everyone's been seriously in sport, can relate to that. And the lads never needed a deserved rest. Could have been worse. I'm not sure if it could have been any worse than it was. Sacked the defense, terminate all their contracts. Yeah, it's a bit of an overreaction, and I'm not overreacting. I've seen people cry for having to be sacked and get Potter in now. Just give your head a wobble if you're doing that, will you? That's just bonkers. That kind of talk. Total shambles second half. Agree. Feel exhausted. I feel numb. Is how I feel watching the second half. I've like these simple to come from. Yeah. Absolute diabolical second half and some shocking defending again. What an embarrassing. That was an embarrassing. Yeah. Stunned. Yeah. That was tough to watch. Let's hope that Leicester, Forest, and Hampton. So it can't be any much worse, can it? Honestly, there could have been worse Leeds performance of seasons. Worst Leeds performance in a very long time. Very long time. In such a small amount of time. Capitulation at its best. Absolutely, Anto. I think Phil Hay said the same thing. Afternoon, Michael. How you doing, mate? Never been down at Millwall, Jer. I'm about to find next season. I don't know just yet. They could bypass us, pal. They're in the playoffs. Honestly, never been so angry. They've not let themselves down. Embarrassing for us fans in the club. Yeah. Went into the game with a respectable goal difference come out of it like last season. Yeah, we've thrown our goal difference away in that game. Yeah. Michael, oh dear. Koch didn't look good in the game. I still think we'll stay up. Yeah. Ayling always plays well for 50 minutes. I thought Luke Ayling had a very good first half, and the commentator said it as well. He had a really, really good half. Second half, it just fell apart for all of them. When I moved Christensen to the right, ailing off, Australia to left. Yeah, you could have done that. There's any options on the bench. When do we start questioning the goalkeeper? We question the goalkeeper, but I keep saying this about the goalkeeper. He's a 22-year-old goalkeeper who's still learning his trade, and he's been very, very good. This is the thing I talk about overreactions. We react, you see, you have a split in the fan base. When Mele does something great or has a good game, it's always an amazing goalkeeper, and he's the best goalkeeper. We should hang on to him, whatever we do. And then he's a dodgy game, and it's all the blame goes on the goalkeeper. I say this as a coach, and I say this consistently. It is so easy to look at the goalkeeper and blame him because he's the last man. How many other mistakes were made before the ball got there that could have been stopped, that would have stopped that goal from happening? And for all of those goals, loads. Can he do better? Absolutely, he can do better. But defensively as a team, we have to protect our goalkeeper. And we have done an appalling job in the last 2 seasons of protecting our goalkeeper. It doesn't matter who's in goal that conceding goals in that game. It doesn't matter who's in goal. It's just this thing about picking the last player out and going, he's the problem. He's not the problem. The defense. And I'll let me just caveat the whole thing with this. We cannot attack and defend. And I've said this multiple times this season. We can either do one or the other. But when we do both, we're poor. The way I look at it this way is our defense was poor under Marcelo Bielsa. We attacked and we outscored teams, but defensively we were weak. Under Jesse Marsh, defensively, we were very, very weak. And under Javi, we're still conceding over 2 goals a game. That hasn't changed under Javi. And it's not Javi's fault. It's not even Jesse's fault. It's not even Bielsa's fault. The common denominator from all those 3 managers is the back 4 is still the same in the games where we concede this amount of goals. There's no Max Wober in there. None. Robin Koch looks like an absolute Rolls Royce for centre half when Max Wober's playing beside him. When Max Wober isn't there, he is shaky. He is panicky. Pascal Struijk was the next Virgil van Dijk. But in games like today, he looks all over the place. But against Nottingham Forest, he made a couple of really good blocks and did well. So there's probably something in the earlier comment about 3 big games in a short space of time with a lot of pressure. That pressure is not going to go away, and these players need to be able to handle it. But the defense isn't just the defense. It's the entire team as a defensive unit. And for me, in the second half, the defensive unit just went. Every time we lost the ball, there was very little tracking back. Mark Rocket and McKennie, who were so good in the last few games that they played together, none of them decided to sit in front of the back 4 and defend the back 4 like they had been doing. They didn't do it at all, which left the back 4 wide open to these balls through the channels or through the gaps between the defense. And that's a defensive unit. And that's a consistency under the last 3 managers, even Scubalo when he came in. We cannot defend and we cannot attack in equal measure. We can't do both. And for me, and this is not an overreaction, I said it earlier in the year and I say it again, for Leeds to progress next season, if we manage to stay in the Premier League, if Leeds have to progress, the back 4 needs replacing. And maybe the goalkeeper's included in that. Maybe he is. But for me, the entire back 4 needs to be changed to a better quality back 4. A back 4 that can defend 1v1, who can press a ball, who are not nervous under a high ball, who can defend corners, comfortably. And we don't have that. And that's the big problem for me. So I'm not trying to dig you out, Gary, but just trying to make the point of, and I say this to my players when I coach as well, is don't always look at the last piece. Go back 2 or 3 steps and go, could that goal have been cut out earlier on? Where is the real fault here? Is it the goalkeeper? Because once it gets to the goalkeeper, it's 50-50. Earlier on, it's probably not. It's probably in our favour to defend better. And we didn't defend well at all today. And Mele was massively exposed. Dread performance from all of these players. Yeah, it was a shambles. Tiding was poor. As poor as being for a while. I'll say it again. Tiding very good first half. Second half collapsed. Absolutely collapsed. But he wasn't on his own. I think we showed how Adams and Vober. Yep. Completely agree with that. We went into the game with a respectful goal difference. Came out looking awful. We need to take advantage of fading Liverpool and our 2 relegation rivals, Leicester and Bournemouth. We have to hope everybody else is just worse than us now at this point, don't we? Alex, what hurts the most is the fact that we started so well, scored a goal and gave up completely. Honestly, never been more disappointed in the team. 10 goals conceded in 3 games without Vober. It says everything. Need to get him back in the team. I bet Vober is tearing his hair out watching this. Yeah. International breaks are great, aren't they? They just took our most important player away from us. We are so fragile. It's untrue. Correct. Even with Vober, we don't win that game. I think with Vober, we do win that game because I don't think the mistakes in defense, especially the last little poke through the 2.5, I don't think that happens with Vober there. We lost 5-1 at home to Roy Hodgson's Christmas pass. Let that sink in. Everyone was very disrespectful of Roy Hodgson leading up to the game. Let that sink in. A very experienced manager, got his game plan bang on. Up to this point, he's never beaten Leeds in Elland Road. So there you go. Last 8 games, we can only see we win the best. How am I supposed to get to sleep after watching that? Go for a long walk, mate. That's what I'm going to do. Ayling was torn apart in the second half. He was. It ripped apart. Who said that they need a rest? It's not a rest the players need. It's a kick in the backside. Thanks, Keller. I think they needed a rest, mate, because we don't. But that's the thing. We don't have the players. It's the first time we've done the same 11 back to back. First half, they were excellent for half an hour. Confidence is gone. Goal difference is gone. Yeah, change the players. First half showed so much promise. Second half was defensive disaster class. Correct. First half was reasonable to 40 minutes. Then stopped and watched Palace play on the ups and downs of being a Leeds fan. Correct, Brian. Correct. The match and goal difference are virtually guaranteed a relegation. I don't know if again, I don't overreact. I'm not overreacting to this. I'm making clear points. I'm not going to overreact to this. We gave them that game. We did. We handed it over. Rarely rivals buoyed by this result. Correct. 1 Kelly, 1-5. We started so well, but couldn't take our chance. The second half, probably the worst I've seen in playing 50 years. I was at Leeds when they played Bolton in the Championship when we got absolutely battered at home. And that's as close to it as I've seen. Hopefully this defeat makes the team refocus their efforts on the Liverpool match. That's not going to be an easy game either. Like Firpo, back to old Firpo. He got booked. He was fine until he got booked. Too many cowards in the Leeds team. Ayling is not a leader. He's a poor vice captain. I disagree, Chris, but you're entitled to your opinion, mate. I'm not going to dig out for you. You're entitled to say. Keller Harrison was poor. Yep. There's other reasons for that as well. I'll get into them in a few minutes. Hi, Jerry. Left after 75 minutes. Total disaster after 35 fantastic minutes of the game. Yeah, I can understand that, pal. I had to leave that and go for a shower. I'm so angry. Yeah. We were battering Palace in the first half. Massa, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. If Ober's a big loss, need him back. We do. Javi has played loads of different formations in his career, so hoping he'll switch it up for next week. I think he'll learn an awful lot from that game. Peter, hi, Jer. Why did Rocker give away the needless free kick? The game turned on that instant. I think the game was turning. Firpo just before him. I think after we'd scored, we'd started to drop. We'll get into that. Was that game? Sorry, Ross, mate. Tough one for you. Martin, the true balls are too easy. Way too easy. Exactly, Jer. No free, no goal. Correct. Well deserved to go down after that display. Come back, Jesse. I know you're messing, Spaceman. I know you're messing. I know you're not being serious. Milky Ayling has to be atrocious for the last several matches. Need to give it. Yeah, I think we need to look at and starting. Harrison isn't good enough. Palace are a better team, but they weren't for half an hour. Badge too heavy for some players and the pressure. I would agree with it. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure. Phil Hay Show this week said that there's a lot of the fans' pressure and the reaction is always bigger at Leeds than it is at other clubs that are down there with us. And as a result of that, you need big players to be able to step up, and we don't always get that. Martin, typical Leeds, just went to think that we've turned it around. We crumble. Hopefully they'll be fired up for Liverpool. Agree, Chris. Yeah. Jerry, we need to hand it out to Palace. They were up for it, but they weren't. But they weren't in the first half, JR. They really weren't in the first half, and we let them back into that game. We need new defense, except for agree. Was at that game after the second goal game was over. Body language was abysmal. Kenny looks to have got injured at the end too. I wonder how many people got injured. Nanto went down as well. Nanto was acting like a bit of a, petulant child towards the end of the game, getting a yellow card for kicking the player miles off the ball and then trying to get a red card as well. That kind of stuff needs to stop. And Willie's guilty of that, and he's looked at it as well when he's got taken off in games throwing strops. He needs to grow up a little bit. I know he's only 19, but you're a professional footballer. You need to step up. William, it's a recruitment issue. We need to invite better defenders. We do, and we haven't done it. Bamford is and has been terrible all season. Why is he playing adequately? He scored today, and that kind of gets him off the hook, but he wasn't good today. He really wasn't good today. Walking back from the ground, totally flat. Not a word spoken by anyone I can imagine. Didn't like Vauber's football system, but maybe he wasn't solely the problem. No. Good to see Forshaw back on the bench. It gives our midfield more options. Yes, it does. Tidy footballer Melier is not the problem. The whole defense is the problem. Without Vauber, we are worst defense. Correct. Agree on all of that. YouTube bullying sense channel. It's going down to fire this year. We'll be fighting till the end. I think we will be. Cox, Stroke, Rasmus, Ayling looked poor today. They did. The whole back four did. Chris, speak out of hope. He's gone regardless of next season. Clive T, I thought Cock was looking quite good in the game. It was going on around him. Again, I think, Clive, if you go back and look at the corners in the first half, Cock's not marking his man. He's the only player that's not marking anybody, and there's a free header twice, and they should have scored. And then for the goal, instead of him going across and attacking the ball, he drops off and goes in, keeps the player on side, and then doesn't put any pressure on him either. And then the little flick goes on, and they scored a goal from that. So for me, a defender's job is to defend. Go attack the ball. Get rid of the ball. Eliminate the danger. The ball is the danger. Get rid of the ball, or get really close to your player to not give him a free header. Max Fowler's given them 3 free headers today. One went narrowly wide, one hit the post, and one went in the back of the net. So, you know, coming out with the ball is fine, but he needs to do his defensive job better. I didn't think Palace were that great. Nope. There's a ton of comments. I'm going to try and get through as many of these as I can, then we'll break it down. Vauban and Adams' absence felt correct. Paul G, that is not true. It's just not true, Paul. And all of the facts say that that's not true. So, no. Sorry, mate. Again, that's the overreaction. There's people calling for Potter to come in and, sack Javi. It's just nonsense. Liam, why didn't we come out in the second half? No idea. That's a question for the players. They had to be forward because they were losing. They did, but we could have kept pressing them in the first half and killed the game off. We didn't. And that performance, we deserved to go down. I would agree with that, Kelly. There's so many comments, folks. I'm not going to get through all of them, but just want to start breaking this down. Let's break this down and let's do what we normally do. Let's start off with the first half. We got one comment there. Why was the 35 million pound player? Because he isn't good enough, Don. He's not ready. That's why he's on the bench. And when he came on, he showed that he's not ready. And that's the point of it. Rodrigo, yes. Sorry, Don. Clarify here. Are you talking about Rutter or Rodrigo? The 35 million pounds makes me think it's Rutter, and I don't think he's ready. Rodrigo should have started for me. Right, let's break this down a little bit, right? First half an hour, Leeds started by far the better side. They were pressing, the passing around the edge of the box was excellent. We used the ball really, really well. We were creating chances. We looked dangerous. The link-up play again. The issue for me in the first half and the first start of the half was we weren't getting Sinisterra into the game and we weren't getting Jack into the game in space. It was all very compact and tight, very Jesse Marsh-esque in parts in the first half. But we were still playing particularly well. We were still creating chances. Finally, we score from a corner. It's a really good corner from Aronson. And it's a lovely header from Bamford, hits off the post and goes in. Great run from Mark Rocket as well. From McKennie to block off the runner. All going very, very well. And then we scored. And I wrote down my notes. We look weak defensively against set pieces. And that was 31 minutes. When did they score? Goal for Leeds was in 22nd. Yeah, they scored in 45th. Yeah, so 30 minutes. Yeah. I thought Cock was struggling under the high balls. I thought he lost player twice. I've covered that already. And as I said, people disagree with me over Cox's performance in the first half, but I didn't think he was comfortable at all. That was the first half. I saw Ayling started the first half really, really well. He was very good going forward. He was very good linking up. He was cutting out balls that were coming down the channels. He was in control. And then the last 5 minutes of the second half, last 10 minutes, we started to let Palace back into the game. We dropped deeper and deeper and deeper. We can't do that. We cannot defend deep. We've seen that multiple times. We just can't do it. Drop, deep, deep, deep. Start giving away silly free kicks, start giving away too many corners, and then just before the goal, Firpo sticks out a leg, gives away a silly free kick that he doesn't need to give away because his player's covering. Picks up a yellow card, which now means Elise, who wasn't in the game and Firpo was marking out of the game, all of a sudden Elise can run at him because he knows he's on a yellow card and Firpo can't tackle him. And that kind of changed some things on the left-hand side of the park for me. Then a couple minutes later, Rocket does the exact same thing. It's a deep free kick. We don't track the run. Silly goal, sloppy goal, right on the 1 minute injury time mark when all we had to do was manage the game out. And we looked defensive on the crosses up until that. 60% of Palace's goals this season have come from 45% of Palace's goals this season have come from set pieces. So you got to defend them better. And we didn't. We just didn't. Second half comes in. I thought, okay, look, we'll reset. Javi's good at the halftime team talks. He'll sort it out. We'll reset. We'll go again in the second half. We'll push on. And the second half started, and we just didn't come out in the second half at all. We didn't get involved in the game. The pressing wasn't there. Palace had a chance inside the 46th minute. 48, there's a ton of space in behind again. Palace get in behind again. Then they get a corner in 53, and they get a goal. Ball's wide open, crossing into the box. AU gets over the back of Ayling, scores, and it go back a step from that. This is why I always say that going back a step to see the mistake. And in this situation, it's Ayling twice, but is the mistake Ayling not getting winning the header? Actually, the mistake is Ayling's crossfield ball out of defense, which he didn't need to do. He had easier options. So they score. You're looking at it, right? 2-1. Can we get back into this? We continue. I wrote down we continue to concede 2 goals per game. If only that was all it was going to be. Then you get to 2 minutes later, they score again. The terrible defending from everybody all over the place, and they score again. Then the changes that happen, with 3 changes. 61 minutes, so 7 minutes later, another chance. And I wrote down, outside of Bamford's goal, he's been non-existent. His hold of play hasn't been good enough. His touch on the ball hasn't been good enough. As at every time Leeds play, Leeds concede the ball. They look like they're going to concede on the counter attack, and that just became the way it was. 68 they score. Again, Edouard scores. And for that, Robin Koch doesn't get across the player to block the shot. Doesn't even make an attempt to do it. He jogs back in. Meslier is not great on the position as well. It goes pretty close to Meslier. He's predicting an near post shot. He shouldn't be. He should go to wait for the shot to be taken. Doesn't do it. It's a goal. Goal difference getting hammered at this point. Then you get 77 minutes. They scored their fifth. The shot blocked on the edge of the box, but nobody reacts to the player. Christensen's keeping everyone onside by about 4 yards, and it's a tap-in, an absolute tap-in in the south, facing the south stand. If you compare the notes, these are my notes from the first and second half. First half, the notes were this: started strong, creating chances, look good in attack. Weak defensively, need to keep pushing forward, right? Hide our weaknesses, which are our back four. Second half, didn't start. Defensive shapes all over the place. Composure's gone. Created a little going forward. Passing has become poor and sloppy, and Leeds way off it. And that was it. Like, conceded 5 goals at home in the Premier League to a team like Crystal Palace shouldn't happen. Like, you can lose a game 2-1 or 3-1. You can lose it the right way, and you can lose a game the wrong way. Today, we lost the game the wrong way. For me, we gave up in the second half. We gave up. And that's, unfortunately, we have seen with this Leeds team. Aston Villa last year, a couple of times this year, and we've talked about on Joe's show as well. Leeds just have it in them to down tools and just stop working. At 2-1, you wanted to see a reaction and a comeback. And we've done it this year against Bournemouth. You know, we did a game against Spurs where it was 4-3, it was up and down, up and down. We know we can come back in games. We know we can show character. But we just didn't. We just didn't today. And that's the issue. And this is where it comes in for me. People talking about sack the manager and get rid of Javi and bringing the manager in. The tactics, like Arsenal, were working fine. They were working perfectly fine. It's when players decide to go into business for themselves, when people stop doing their jobs, when people stop tracking runners. It's basic defending. If you're a defender, balls in the air, go win the ball. Yeah? Mark your man tight when you're out of possession. Make sure he hasn't got any space. Send them back towards their own goal. Don't be too open. Be compact. And all of those things stopped. We had defenders not tracking runners. We had defenders not attacking the ball. We had defenders not pressing the ball on the edge of the box. We had defenders not tracking runners in behind us. They're all individual. That's not a game plan that's gone wrong. That's an individual play. That's a player making an individual error, or a player deciding he's not going to do the bit that he needs to do. That's where that issue comes from. That is not a managerial problem. If I was Javi Garcia and those players came back in the dressing room, I would staple every single one of them to the wall because they gave up on him. They gave up today for Leeds. They give up on the badge. They give up on the club. And that's not okay. You cannot have performances like that in the Premier League, especially when you're in a relegation dogfight. I said that we needed 4 points minimum from these 2 games, but 6 to make sure we're okay. And I said if we didn't get 4 or 6 points, I thought we'd be in big, big trouble. I think we're in big, big trouble. But there are still enough games for us to get out of this. And I don't think the manager's the issue. And we've got to stop reacting to this just because there's a manager we like out there. Graham Potter took 12 months to get Brighton moving, and De Zerbi's done better with them since he's taken them over. And he didn't work at Chelsea, and people are screaming to get him into Leeds. I get that he's a good coach, but he's not the coach we have. And the coach we have right now is doing a decent enough job. It's the players that are a problem. And as I keep on saying it, and I will keep on saying it, our back line hasn't changed in our 3 managers, and the back line is the problem. It has consistently been the issue. It has been consistent problems, consistent errors by defenders that have cost us time and time again. The players that have been brought in outside of Max Wober haven't been good enough to play at the Premier League level. And that's been the problem. And hopefully, it doesn't cost us. And that's it. That's it. Again, there's so much comments. Folks, also, just first thing, thank you very much for watching this, and thank you for joining me on this. I know we're all feeling it today. We're all angry in different directions, and blame will lie at different people's feet for different people watching this, and that's okay. I'm not always right. I'm not saying that I am right here. I'm just giving my opinion, what I think the mistakes were. If you have a different opinion on that, that's okay. It's absolutely okay. But I do appreciate everyone watching the live stream and getting involved in this in what is fastly becoming my therapy session after every Leeds game. I'm going to pick out a couple of comments. Every time I see those in the director's box, I want to scream. Yeah, they don't make me smile either. February was not good enough. A couple of good games. Every time we have a high ball over Ailing, correct. Yeah, it's a weakness with him, all right. Green the Furpo comment. At best, we have a championship players, not enough Premier League quality, full reset required. I think there's a big job needed there. Liam, how you doing, mate? Hope you're okay. Flying Fish, it's not a Jesse versus Javi. The team lacks the quality. The injuries expose the lack of depth. Need to rebuild the defense around Wober. Agree. I would say you need to build the defense with better defenders than Wober. Like if Wober's our weakest defender, that's a good back four. That's a strong back four. I wonder what happened in the dressing room at half time. I would have thought Javi would have said, look, there's not a huge amount wrong with that, but get back on the front foot and get back pressing the game like we did at the start of the game. And then it just didn't do it. Trying to defend a 1-goal win, a 1-goal lead after doing so well attacking up to that point. Ayling is one of the worst players, most influential, which is a terrible combination. I'm going to say this. I'm not going to weigh in on an individual insults on players. I don't mind a criticism being, on a player's performance. Luke Ayling has been fantastic for Leeds over the years. He's been absolutely fantastic for Leeds over the years. And considering what we paid for him, But at this point, I think I would have started Christensen in this game on the right-hand side, not the left. I would have started him on the right-hand side, and I would have probably looked out at long-term when you look at a Premier League level right back. Maybe it's Cody Dramé, maybe it's not. You have to wait and see. Chris Langdon, people starting moaning as soon as we lose. If we were cheering when Bamford scored, our problem is we have so many fickle fans. I think we have reactionary fans, and that's not unusual. I think every fan is. Like, it'd be very easy for me right now to just go into a rant and just start wading in on players. And it's understandable. It is understandable. But I think if you calm down a little bit, which is easy, but we're on live straight after this. If you calm down a little bit, take a step back and start watching it, you'll see there's a couple of issues, and they're the same people. People saying Jack Harrison didn't have a great game today. I'm pretty critical of Jack Harrison for most of the season. Funnily enough, I didn't think the issue today was with Jack Harrison. I thought the issue was getting the ball to Jack Harrison in space and moving the ball and getting to him quick enough. We didn't do that. Same with Sinister. He was outstanding against Nottingham Forest. We barely got the ball to him. Then when Nanto came on to replace him, we didn't get the ball to Nanto either. So sometimes it's a supply issue. The supply was poor today into the wide areas. Jackie did try in the first half, but he was working in very tight areas. I thought we overcrowded areas ourselves. So when Jackie was getting the ball on the right, we had Aronson in that space as well. You had Ayling in that space, and then Bamford was coming across. It's 4 players in a very compact, tight area. So for me, it's not getting the best out of the player because we're not playing to the strengths. What Sinister and Harrison did very well against Forest was they got the ball in 1v1 situations. They got it in space. We crowded ourselves out of it today, and that to me is a bit of an issue as well. Thanks for your honesty. You never sugarcoat the match. I won't, Liam. I won't. Ferber has been great lately, and he has been. Today, the yellow was unnecessary, correct, and he could 100% nail on the head, Martin. Nail on the head. If Everton were playing Palace at Goodison and went 1-up, they wouldn't lose that game. They have a very defensive-minded manager. And we also want us to play football, so we can't, unfortunately, have everything our own way. Bamford missed PK versus Arsenal some the whole season. Yeah, Bamford's still not fit enough. I don't know how he's not fit enough. At this stage, he's got 90 minutes under his belt during the week. Free falling. I've never rated Bamford ever. Players are cowards. Never have I seen a team in a Leeds shirt fold like contortionist. Absolutely laughing stock. Accountability needed. Sack the board. Looked like the game they gave in. That's exactly what it looks like. Everyone's in the same boat. I think we all agree on the fact that it looks like the player just gave up. We have a full week break now. Need to use that time wisely. Get Vober back fit and start taking players out who haven't been good enough. I think perspective is important. We just hit by a counter punch and then never recovered. I do wonder if something happened in the dressing room at halftime. They just gave up. I don't know. Let's wait and see what comes out, although we probably won't hear much. Bamford likes telling things that should be kept in the dressing room. He likes coming out and telling people about stuff, so I'm sure it'll come out from one of the players. Jason was really happy and had great confidence watching the first half. I agree with you. Was absolutely shell-shocked. The second half, honestly, no words. Soul-destroying. Yeah. Agreed, they looked like he completely gave up. They were ghosts. No wonder Ellen Road emptied. Yeah. It says something when Ellen Road didn't stand there and protest or chant sack the board or doing that. They just left. And that's apathy. And that's that's just like, what's the point? It's terrible. Sorry, I skipped your comment there. Agreed, they looked like they completely gave up. There we go. So we covered that. Yeah, sorry, mate. Nate, let's hope they can react to this result. We've got Liverpool next. I don't expect us to beat Liverpool, but then they've got bigger games after that. April's a massive month. If we don't come out of this with 6 to 9 points, we're done. Liam, worst second half. Ailing worst performance in the team. Came out in the second half, but only wanted to win. It wasn't Leeds, correct? Yeah. Digler, how you doing, mate? Leeds played well in the first half, but it counts for nothing. Yes, correct. We did play well in the first half, though. And for Bamford to say it was a freak result in the second half is at best disingenuous to Palace, and worse, his head is firmly in the sand. No excuses. That result, no one should be defending the players. I agree. Nate again, not leaders on the pitch today. Nope. Chris Langton in the second half was a whole team fault. It was. We panicked and gave up. It was a team's fault, not individuals. There wasn't a player in the second half that did well. Wasn't a player. That was shocking. Made people whine about a few decisions from the officials, but yeah, and defense and midfield were a joke today. Come down the referee today. I'm not even going to talk about Palace's performance because I don't think it was Palace's performance that won the game. I think it was bad defending and bad stuff. Palace are a decent side and we let them play. So it was that. Mark Jared changed the second half and Garcia didn't change it to adapt first 5 in the second half. Could see it. The likes of Ailing not even trying to get up and head the ball from a set piece. Yeah. It didn't change drastically enough, Mark, to need us to change our system. What we needed to do was just get on the ball and keep it for a while. And our passing was so sloppy and so lax in the second half that we put 2 passes together and we'd lose possession. We would go back with the ball and lose possession going backwards with it. So it's that kind of stuff. Michael Jerry, do you think Nanto, Rodrigo, and Somerville with their pace and movement from the offset would have caused them problems? Yeah, I think it's a good shout. I'm questioning Willie Nanto's temperament and attitude at the moment. There's some things I don't like that I'm seeing. No doubt there's quality there, but I don't like some of the little bits. The manager isn't the issue, the defense is the issue. Yes, I agree. Carl, 100%. Agreed, 50% didn't turn up, and Sulky Nanto needs to grow up. He does. Definitely don't want Potter. There were rumours that Ailing played a part in getting Bielsa sacked. Marsh dropped him, and he's seen him off, although he saw himself off, really. The thing about that is, there was those rumours, and this is all rumour and speculation, but there was those rumours that the players had gone to the board and asked for Jesse to be removed. They're probably right. The right decision was made there, by the way, not excusing it. I don't like players getting too big for the boots. You heard the comments from Patrick Bamford, the Forest game when Jesse did get sacked. And that kind of said to me that the players might not have gone to the board, but Paddy did, because things were said that were very similar to what was said. Can't have players controlling the dressing room. Can't. You just can't. Yeah, we've covered that. The main problem at the club are Orta and Razjer. Until Orta is gone, we'll have a poor built squad, especially the back. But the problem we have right now is the squad is there. We can't do anything about that until the end of the season. So you need to put the best team on the pitch. And I think Javi's trying to do that. But when players decide to down tools and give up, that's the problem. Thanks. Orta players, not Javi's. Too slow to sub today. Rasmus should have replaced Ailing. About 5 minutes in the second half, but that stage they scored again. Ailing cost 5 goals in 4 games. Yeah, not on his own. And that's Scott, just to be really clear. He wasn't on his own. He wasn't on his own against Chelsea. He wasn't on his own against Arsenal. And he wasn't on his own today. There's plenty of other people who didn't do their jobs correctly that could have stopped those goals from happening that didn't do them. Players who were not in today, poor. Whole team bottled it. Totally agree. Thanks, Rich. Michael, I thought today, yes, 3 points and then maybe turn over Liverpool, at least get a point. I think we might have got a little carried away with ourselves beating Nottingham Forest too. Let's be honest about it. Are a very poor team. Respect for going live after that. I could never. I need this, Calvin. I need this. I need this therapy. I need to calm down. I need to talk this out. Spig, as a side note, Melier needs dropping for a few games. At least 3 of those goals could have been saved. And I know some of the league keepers who saved them. Again, Spig, make the same point I made earlier on. Go back. I'm not saying he's not responsible. He's one of the responsible people for those goals. But go back 2 or 3 phases and look at all of the mistakes that led to the ball getting where it got to. They're cut out. Defenders do their jobs. Midfielders do their defensive job properly. The ball never gets to our penalty area and never exposes Melier. So there's a lot of other people who have responsibility to do their job. The keeper, not great for 2 of them, at least for me. But should the ball have gotten there in the first place? Should those shots have been? It should have happened. For me, they shouldn't have got there. Chris Freeval and the team are a bunch of cowards. We shouldn't have given up. I think it's a performance that's lacking composure and a performance that lacked bottle. But I wouldn't go as far as to call the entire team cowards because they've shown in some games this season that they're not. And I think if you're going to make that kind of an assertion, Chris, you need to look at the entire season and go, well, is the character of the team that way? Or is it just a bad day? Is it just things caught up with them and maybe too many people were carried today? We carried too many players. You go back to the Forest game and so many players had the best game in the Leeds shirt. You look at today and go, a lot of them had the worst game in the Leeds shirt as well. It's a game of extremes. But not saying you're wrong, Chris, but I'm just saying I think that we should look at the entirety of the season before we're making a massive judgment like that on the entire squad. I think there's some players definitely fall into that bracket for me and aren't good enough. Like to stream that. Thanks, mate. Right, Liam, thanks for honesty. Great stream. Appreciate that, Liam. I wouldn't want Pollard Leeds in a million years. I never rated him before. I take Deserby though. I agree with everything you said, Jer, especially about the backs. Thank you. Appreciate that, Don. Those criticizing Garcia need to have Relchik. Yeah, it's too easy. We're falling into this bracket of get a bad result, sack the manager. Let's not be Watford. Yeah, we had enough of that under Cellino. We really don't need to keep seeing that. We win 50-50s at the back is the start. Correct, we didn't. We lost all our battles at the back. By far the worst game I've watched at Ellen Road. Tough one, mate. Matt, I feel sorry for you. Michael, Javi needs a massive reaction. He does. Diggler would rather have Xavier Leeds and Rogers and Benitez. Yeah. I work at Sellis Park. Imagine stick I'm going to get this week. You don't look well, Joe. You look a bit sick. You look like you might have COVID. You might need to take a couple of days off. Try and avoid that as long as you can. Clive, having looked lost in the touchline, Bielsa would have been barking at the players. Again, I don't think it's a heavy thing. I think it's a case of he made 3 changes and it made no difference because we just didn't get the ball to any of those players. Rodrigo at one point was out on the left side of midfield trying to get involved in the game because the service to the front 3 players was so poor, so bad. Do you think we keep Javi? Yeah, I do. Yeah, and I've said it before. If we go down, I keep Javi because I think he'll get us back up. And I think if we stay up, he deserves a crack at the job. The manager's not the problem here, folks. We keep going back to it. It can't always be the manager. It can't be Marcelo's last couple of months. It can't just be him. It can't be Jesse all the time. It can't be Javi all the time. Sometimes it's the players. And unfortunately for Leeds, more often than not, it's the players. I can't get out of my head that Harrison's form was dropped off a cliff as soon. Not again. Was he great? No. But did we get the ball to him in the right areas at the right time to let him do it? I don't think we did. And again, as I keep saying, when we did get the ball to Jack, I think we all filled the area with players ourselves and actually choked any opportunity that Jack had to get one-on-one. Jack is very good in the one-on-one position. We just didn't give him those opportunities because we kept piling players. Aronson, Ayling, Bamford all over, condensing the spacing around them. It's very hard to do anything in there. As I said, it was the attacking play at times today was very Jesse Marsh-esque, and I didn't like it, especially in the second half when we tried to get forward. Leicester at home would be the decider, massive, and Jesse Marsh will be in the dugout for Leicester. They got 1-0 to Arsenal. We'll go through days like this as long as Ayling and his ilk are there. Yeah, we won't and shouldn't sack Javi. No, we shouldn't. Silly reaction. Solid defensive squad. That's what Leeds need right now. We have a striker, a decent midfield. The Leeds need to consolidate and build confidence. Said it last time before, and I'll say it again. Look what Newcastle did last year. They went in the ball. New goalkeeper, strengthened their back 4, best defense in the league. Get better defenders. Jesse could send us down and pack in the championship. He could. Let's assume he won't. Clive, he's only got a contract at the end of the season, so we wouldn't be sacking him? No. Man United beaten 7-0 recently and moved on. We can do the same. Correct. Jer, how did the team approach the Liverpool match? I think very similar to the Arsenal game. Try and catch them on the counter attack, go with pace up front. Palace. Why is no one saying that when Bielsa was here? We were. We did. There's a lot of people just said the defenders weren't good enough. We need better defenders. We talked about Liam Cooper's mistakes for a long time. They just haven't done anything about it. We never had bad results on the Bielsa. We did. We got battered by teams on the Bielsa. I know that's what you're saying. I know that these two comments are connected. I know what you're saying. Nate, total knockout. The boxing analogies are very good for this because that's what it looked like in the second half. It looked like Leeds' legs were gone. That we got a punch to the jaw and we're wobbled and just couldn't get our feet again and couldn't get back into it. Gotta take your hat off to Hodgson for his tactics. There you go. John, I think they thought Palace would roll over in the second half. Yep. I think that the back end of the first half was a problem. I was starting to say, take Aronson out and play Nanto in the middle. Again, Aronson thought started really well. Again, everyone, first 25 minutes, thought everyone was excellent. And then it just stopped. Just stopped as soon as we scored. Lost to the bloke kidnapped McCare. Aronson played well first half, second half, not so much. Gutted, yeah, absolutely. When Vobber came back, do you think we should play a back 3? In certain games, Jeff, yeah. Yeah, I think it's horses for courses. I think Javi will look at that as well. I think Bamford is a problem in the dressing room. I would tend to agree. Can we recall John, mate? No, and I wouldn't be in a rush either. Let's just wait our time and see that. Let's see what happens there when he comes back. We look tired. The thing about I keep saying about Cody Dram, and I'll say it again, is if he comes back and doesn't get that position, that's 3 managers. There's a problem there. Liam, we're the first half performance today. In the second half, Palace should never have scored in the first half. Correct. We should have seen that game out. Manager got a second goal. Leicester, Everton Forest thought they were relegated yesterday. Leeds said, hold my beer. We still have a 3-point gap to the bottom 3, which, not to complain. Yes, he can. I'd like to see that as well. Tired and flat. It's not the manager's players yet. We keep saying that. I'm going to skip a few. We got it. Hang on a second. Can't skip that. Sorry for that. Mr. P, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Can you stop these limb-wristed crossfield passes? We lose possession too many times. And not just today. Bad day at the office needs to change. I completely agree. And they were the issues today with the crossfield balls. Folks, there's a lot of people there in chat. I'm not going to get to everybody's chats, and I want to wrap this up. I just want to say, look, firstly, thanks. again for joining me and watching this. It's a bad day at the office. Let's hope that that's all it is. Let's hope maybe it's the reality check that was needed after the last couple of games to just go, you're not there yet. You know, you're not the finished article. You're not what you think you're. And I've said it before, and I said it on Joe's show. Maybe we're not as good as we think we are. We all think we're probably a 10th place team that just have bad managers. Maybe we're not. And honest, if I'm being honest, I think the defense that we have is probably a bottom 3 defense. So it's the rest of it is just keeping us in that. And we are scoring goals, which has kept us out of trouble. So gotta just hope we keep doing that. Score more goals. But Liverpool on next Monday's not gonna be easy. We've got a week to get set, sorted out. Hopefully we do. And then we've got some big games. So folks, that's gonna be it for me. Dust it off, go for a walk, pet your dog, tell someone you love them, do something different. Get this out of your head. You know, it's not good to sit there and digest this. It is what it is. It's a home trashing to a team that were dropping like a rock until they changed their manager. We've been okay. This is one game. Let's assume it's one game. If this happens, if Liverpool put 6 or 7 past us, we've got a bigger problem. But I think the back 4 needs to be looked at. I think there needs to be some serious looks at the back 4 and changes made. I think I wouldn't be surprised to see us go out of back 5 at the weekend, even bring Cooper back in. But there needs to be changes in the team up front as well for me. I don't think Bamford's doing enough. You know, he did score, but sorry, last comment. I will not ring in sick for Joe's show. I'll be there tomorrow night. Yeah, we're live Joe's show tomorrow night. Usual stuff. Keep an eye on the Twitter or on Joe's channel for the updates on that. I'll be back on Monday. Won't be back Monday morning because of a game. Probably back Monday afternoon, evening. I might do something around the news, but it'll probably be Tuesday before I do a news video this week with the bank holiday weekend. So, look, folks, have a nice weekend. Try and get something out of this weekend. Go off, relax, go for a walk, as I said. Do something fun. Get this out of your head. Let's move on. It's not worth it. We'll push on, and with fingers crossed, we'll get a better result next week. Okay. Thanks for joining. Thanks for supporting the channel, liking, subscribing, all that stuff. And I'll see you tomorrow night in Joe's show, and probably Monday evening at some point for something. So I'll talk to you then. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.